The Las Vegas Golden Knights are Stanley Cup champions for the first time in franchise history. Bradley Beal and Zion Williamson on the move. All seems well up in Buffalo as Diggs is back in practice today. The Oakland A's are the best team in baseball. Croatia has advanced to the UEFA Nations League final after beating the Netherlands. We've got players going all over the place in the soccer world. And MONOHAN finally out as PGA commissioner. Let's get into the crossover. The Las Vegas Golden Knights last night had the opportunity to close out this series with the Panthers and win their first ever Stanley Cup, and boy did they ever. They beat the Panthers 9-3 with a hat trick from their captain Stoner to beat out the Panthers and become Stanley Cup champions. Shout out to the owner, Bill Foley, who when he first brought the Golden Knights to existence in Las Vegas, promised that fan base that within 6 years of their existence they would be Stanley Cup champions. And now in their 6th year, they have finally completed that mission. Obviously, they made it to the finals their very first year. They didn't win it. They missed the playoffs a couple of times in here, reworked the team, kept some of their star guys, some of their main guys that they built this franchise on, and now 6 years later are Stanley Cup champions. Let's take a real quick look about how they did it. They beat the Jets in 5, the Oilers and Stars respectively in 6, and now the Panthers in 5. So shout out to the Golden Knights. Obviously, the Vegas Aces had just won the WNBA championship, so slowly but surely, the city of Las Vegas is becoming a championship city. Let's see if the Raiders can be next. But before we move on here, let's just look at the Panthers, man. Shout out to the Panthers. What a great season from the Panthers. Obviously, Chuck was not able to play last night. Their main guy, their main star on that team. He did have a broken sternum that he got in Game 3 with that big hit against Eichel. He came out Game 4 very hurt, playing obviously with a broken sternum, doing his best to be out there for the boys, but he was not able to be out there last night in Game 5, so prayers up to him. Hope that he gets better. I can't even imagine Game 5. I can't even imagine how much he wanted to be out there, keep his season alive, and now they went out there and they lost without Tkachuk. I kind of saw it coming once I saw Tkachuk wasn't playing. He's the main guy over there in Florida, so speedy recovery to him. Hopefully they'll be back next year. But let's look at this season, man. They finished the season 6-1-1 to make it to the playoffs, to be the 8th seed, to just get into the tournament, and then first round they beat the Bruins, who had a record-setting point total this season, most points ever in an NHL season. They beat them in 7 after being down 3-1. Game 7, overtime winner to advance in the first round. Then they beat the Leafs, who were the 4th best team in the NHL in 5 games. Then they went up against the Hurricanes, who were the 2nd best team in the NHL this year, beat them in 4, and then ultimately fell short here in the Stanley Cup Finals in 5 against the Las Vegas Golden Knights. But hey, man, they beat the number 1, the number 2, and the number 4 team in the NHL, so shout out to them. Coming in as an 8th seed, nobody really expected any of this from them. They got hot. They seemed like a great group of guys. But yeah, injuries just really slowed them down, kind of cost them the Stanley Cup here towards the end. And interesting fact that I saw here today, in the last 4 seasons, whoever eliminated the Toronto Maple Leafs in the playoffs actually went on to lose the Stanley Cup Final. So in 19, the Bruins obviously knocked out the Leafs, lost in the Stanley Cup Final. Same thing did Montreal in 2020. In 2021, it was the Lightning, and in 2022, it was the Panthers. So no matter what, you don't want to face the Leafs, because if you beat them, you're going to lose in the Stanley Cup Final, and if you lose, you're out of the playoffs. So I guess we have a Toronto curse now in the NHL. That's something new that I learned today, but something to look out for in the coming seasons. Whoever faced the Leafs, you're either losing and you're out of the playoffs, or you're winning and you're going to lose in the Stanley Cup. So whatever happens, you don't want to face the Leafs. So that puts an end to an NHL season. Obviously, the NBA season just ended last night. So sports are coming to an end here. We now have baseball. We're waiting on the NFL to start up here pretty soon. So it's going to be a little bit of a dry period here in the summer, but we've got MLB to carry us through. And speaking of the NBA ending last night, we've got some breaking news out of the NBA here today. Bradley Beal seems to be on the move as the Wizards are trying to restructure their roster. The Miami Heat, who obviously lost the NBA Finals last night, are one of the main teams who are interested. So Bradley Beal on the move here after his couple of years down there in Washington. So something to keep an eye out on. I think he could be good for the Heat. I feel like the Heat could take anything that they can get at this point. Again, I still think that their number one target should be Damian Lillard. But Bradley Beal certainly would not be a bad addition to that Heat lineup. Another player who could be on the move is Zion Williamson, as the Pelicans want to move up to a top 3 spot in the draft and hopefully get Scoot Henderson. Now, if you look at the order for the draft this year, we've got the Spurs with the number 1 pick, who obviously isn't going to want to move out of there because everybody wants Wembanyama. It seems like a lock that he will be going to the Spurs, so I don't see them trading him to the Spurs. Then at the 2, we've got the Hornets. Could we see Zion and LaMelo? Do the Hornets want to trade away from the 2 for that Zion Williamson pick? And then we've got the Trailblazers in at the 3. Trailblazers, who obviously, if they do lose Dame, they're going to want to, restructure probably through the draft, probably not bring in Zion. So I think the best case scenario for the Pelicans here would be trading with the Hornets. The Pelicans have the 14th overall pick, so I'm assuming it's going to be Zion, that 14th overall pick, and probably some other picks splashed in there for this push into the top 3. But the Pelicans are looking to move into the top 3 of the draft, and a big part of that could be Zion Williamson on his way out of New Orleans. Now let's go into another story that I covered here yesterday. If you saw yesterday's video, Stefon Diggs obviously was not at mandatory training camp yesterday. Sean McDermott came out, said that he was very concerned. It came out that he was in the building, met with the GM, met with McDermott, but that things didn't go well. But today we've got a whole new narrative as Stefon Diggs was back in the building practicing with the team. Josh Allen came out, said that he loved Stefon Diggs, that he probably could have communicated a little bit better with him. But today we saw them performing a choreographed handshake. I don't know if that was from last year, if that was something that they just worked on. They seemed to be gelling well. They seemed to be back to normal like nothing happened yesterday. So good to see Diggs and Allen on the same page and seemingly doing well and not having any tear in the relationship. McDermott also came out and walked back his comments that he made yesterday. He said, of course, I said I was concerned. Why would I not be concerned? I'm going to be concerned anytime a player has something going on. So that kind of makes me feel like Diggs maybe had some off-the-field stuff that he had to take care of yesterday. He said that they gave Diggs permission to leave the building yesterday and to not practice with the team. Thus, he will not be getting fined. The veracity of that, I don't know, but that's what McDermott came out and said today. And another unknown is that a brand new breaking news story in the NFL. An unknown player apparently lost $8 million gambling last year. Now, we don't know if he was gambling on the NFL, what he was gambling on, if he was gambling in the facility, we do not know. But somebody out there lost $8 million last year in gambling. I guess that's what happens when you get a whole bunch of young guys with a whole bunch of disposable income just making stupid decisions. $8 million. That's a lot of damn money. Lost it on gambling. We don't know the player. We don't know what he was betting on. But that's the NFL news that we have for today. Moving on into the MLB, the Oakland A's are the best team in baseball. Last night, the Oakland A's beat the Rays for a second day in a row. Again, the Rays, the best team in baseball right now. They beat the Rays 2-1 in front of a full house down there in Oakland with a reverse boycott. So if you didn't watch yesterday's video, the Oakland A's organized a reverse boycott where they filled up the arena and they came in and they just said, sell the team, sell the team. There was sell the team chants all the way over. And then there was a lot of people wearing stay t-shirts. So obviously they want to keep that franchise in Oakland, but they want new owners who are going to have a mission. They're going to have a goal. They're going to build a championship team in Oakland is what the fans want. But the Oakland A's stayed hot with their 7th win in a row. Don't look now, but the longest winning streak ever in the history of the MLB is 26 games, which was set by the New York Giants in 1916. So the A's could be looking to do something historic here. Obviously, they're still a long way away. But the Oakland A's are looking hot. They're looking for their 8th win here tonight against the Rays again. But they're going to have to do it against Shane McClanahan tonight, so no easy task there. But the A's seemingly on the way up. The fans are back. The fans wanted to come out, support the team, show the players that the problem isn't them, that the problem is the ownership. They want new ownership. Hopefully this whole situation gets figured out. Obviously, the Oakland has just lost the Raiders. They lost the Warriors. So they're losing a lot of teams out there. The fan base seems really, really wanting to have the A's back and staying in Oakland. So hopefully the team gets sold. Hopefully they get their new stadium approved in Oakland. And I just want to see this every night, honestly. Oakland baseball, that crowd selling out every night. I just want to see it. It's beautiful for the game. It's great for the sport. So Oakland A's on the way up. Let's see what happens there. The New York Yankees erased a 5-1 deficit to the Mets, coming back and winning the game 7-6. Some nervy moments in there as a fan for the Yankees last night. Wandy Peralta came in and loaded the bases while the Yankees were up 1. With the bases loaded and 1 out, Clay Holmes comes in, gets 2 massive strikeouts, looking absolutely like a unit. Clay Holmes is. He's now given up 1 run in his last 19 games. So vintage Clay Holmes could be back. I'm excited for that. Michael King then came in the 9th, finished it off as the Yankees took the 7-6 win against the Mets. And tonight they face off again. We've got Garrett Cole facing off against Justin Verlander. Two former teammates, obviously, with the Astros, so that should be a fun game to watch. Jose Correa walked off home run against the Brewers for the Twins last night. That was a cool moment there. Another feel-good story from the Reds. It seems like every day there's something new here with the Cincinnati Reds. Ricky Karcher made his MLB debut, got the save, and in the post-game interview, dropped the word shit like 30 different times. He's like, man, look around. I can't believe this. Seems like a movie. Just so happy for him. Comes in, gets his first save during his MLB debut. Having a blast. So shout out to him and shout out to the Reds. Honestly, they've won their last 4 games. In their last 9 games, they have won 7. So 7-9 in their last 4 games, as they are now 2.5 games behind the Pirates in the NL Central. Pirates and Brewers both lost last night. So Cincinnati Reds on their way up and making a push for the NL Central. More unfortunate news, shortstop Kike Hernandez from the Red Sox has been demoted. He will now no longer be the everyday shortstop for the Red Sox, as he's been giving up way too many errors. So Red Sox moving on from Kike Hernandez. Let's move into some soccer. I was just watching the Nations League semifinals between Croatia and Netherlands. Croatia ended up winning the game 4-2 to reach the finals, that I believe is on Saturday or Sunday here. First half, Malin scored a goal in the 34th minute. Second half was all Croatia. Croatia dominated the second half. Kramaric scored a penalty. Skalic then scored in the 70th minute. And Lang with a 94th minute goal. Now, when I saw that go in, I felt like the momentum could be moving towards Netherlands as the game ended 2-2. We went into extra time, and De Jong was forced to play center back because Dumfries had been subbed off late in the second half because Koeman was trying to put in all of the attackers, put in as much as he could to kind of get the tie and just force it into extra time, but then it ended up backfiring as an extra time. Frankie de Jong had to play center back. Petkovic just completely turned de Jong inside out. Pause. As he scored in the 98th minute, 99th minute, I believe. And then there was no fight back from the Netherlands. It was all Croatia. Croatia then went on to score a late pen in like the 116th or something, as Croatia beat the Netherlands 4-2. Again, Koeman just keeps on struggling with this Netherlands team. This was a big opportunity for the Netherlands to win a trophy. The Nations League is happening in the Netherlands, so had they made it to the final, they would have had a final in front of their home fans, which would obviously give them a massive advantage over whoever they were going to face. And Croatia just keeps on going with this championship pedigree. I mean, the amount of times that Croatia has been to finals here recently, World Cup finals, Euro finals, let's just hope that Croatia can move on and get past whatever happened in the past and win one here, because I just want to see Modric happy. Let's look at some free agency news. Let's look at some off-season acquisitions now. We've got a whole bunch today, starting with Inter Milan. Obviously, Inter Milan just lost the Champions League, so they're looking to re-up their team and make a move to be back in the same position next year and hopefully win it. DeVrij extended his contract at Inter until 2025, but who did not extend was Dzeko, as he will now be leaving as a free agent here in the summer. Skriniar obviously is another loss for Inter Milan that they're going to have to deal with, as he had already signed a pre-contract in January with PSG, so he will now be moving on to PSG. until 2027. Yesterday, I spoke about a meeting between Inter Milan and Chelsea where a lot was supposed to be discussed, and a lot was discussed. Inter asked for another loan for Lukaku to keep him at Inter Milan next year. Lukaku has come out and made it very clear that he does want to play for Inter. He is not interested in going back to Chelsea. He wants to stay at Inter. So let's see what happens there. They also asked about a loan for Koulibaly. There was no talks about Onana, which was kind of rumored yesterday that Onana might be in the talks there, as Pochettino today came out and said that he does want Kepa Arrizabalaga to be the number one goalkeeper and to be the guy in Chelsea, which now also means that Mendy could be on his way out. Mendy, a big reason that Chelsea won that Champions League trophy, but they're now moving on from Mendy, it seems like, as Pochettino wants Kepa to be the number one. Inter's director will now be in London between the next 24 to 48 hours, so we might be seeing some news break there. And that's a situation from that massive meeting. We talked about it yesterday, so that was just kind of what happened today. Another thing that happened today was Bellingham is officially a Real Madrid player, and man, that Real Madrid midfield just keeps on getting stronger and stronger. Jude Bellingham officially with Real Madrid. Real Madrid obviously had the best midfield in the world, arguably. I believe it was the best midfield in the world. In Toni Kroos, Modric, and Casemiro. Obviously, Casemiro is no longer at Real Madrid as he has moved on to Manchester United. Toni Kroos and Modric are both aging, but you look at the talent that Real Madrid now has in the midfield, especially after this Bellingham news. They've got Fede Valverde, world-class player, 24 years old. Tchouaméni, another world-class player. He's only 23. Camavinga is 20, and Jude Bellingham is 19. So the future for that Real Madrid midfield looks very, very bright. Real Madrid definitely built for the future, especially in the midfield. And then if you look past the midfield, they just signed 16-year-old Endrick from Brazil, Rodrigo, who is 22, Vini, 22, Brahim Diaz, 23, Fran Garcia, 23, Lunin, 24, and Militao at center back, 25. So very young squad, very, very talented young squad that Real Madrid has here, seemingly built for the future. And now, especially in that midfield, when everybody was talking about how are you going to rebuild this midfield after Kroos and Modric are gone, we now know. We now know that Jude Bellingham, Tchouaméni, Camavinga, Fede. So Real Madrid, great job at rebuilding for the future. So shout out to them. Keeping it in the Bellingham family, Jude Bellingham, 17-year-old younger brother of Jude Bellingham, has also signed for Sunderland. So he is also on the move. Now moving on to Tottenham. David Raya, goalie from Brentford, agrees on personal terms with Tottenham, but Tottenham is waiting for Brentford to bring down the asking price to $40 million. They asked, I believe it was like 80 or 60 or something crazy like that. Tottenham has the personal deal agreed. Now let's just see if David Raya can put some pressure onto Brentford, bring the price down to 40 so that Tottenham could execute that. Obviously, Tottenham had a lot of questions about whether they were going to stay with Lloris, whether it was time to move on from Lloris. So it seems like they are ready to move on, but they're waiting on that asking price to go down a little bit. Asking price that will not be going down nor up because he's not going to be sold at all is Harry Kane, as Manchester United have decided, hey, we're going to pull out of this whole Harry Kane situation. It doesn't seem like Tottenham is going to be selling at all. So they are now focusing their attention on Rasmus Højlund, 20-year-old Danish striker from Atalanta. So that seems like he will be the next striker for Manchester United, as Harry Kane will not be sold this summer. And then let's keep on looking here. Let's keep on looking. A whole bunch of other stuff going on. We've got Gravenburch at Bayern Munich saying that, hey, I want to play. Preferably, I'd play at Bayern Munich. But if not at Bayern Munich, then just loan me out. Let me go play. I just want to play football. If not at Bayern Munich, loan me out. So we could be seeing a Gravenburch loan coming in here pretty soon. We've also got James Milner in the midfield, officially unveiled at Brighton. We've got Mount to Manchester United. Keeping with no Kane, they might be getting Mount. But Chelsea wants $80 million. United have already submitted a $40 million offer to United. United have already submitted a $40 million bid to Chelsea, but Chelsea have declined that. So let's see what happens there between Mount and United. They've already got personal terms agreed upon, but again, waiting on Chelsea. We've got Indica to Roma until 2028, which has been confirmed. Obviously, Awar also just presented as a new Roma player. So Roma building up on that team that just lost the Europa League final. So hopefully they can figure it out with Jose Mourinho. We've also got Chelsea looking at Villarreal striker Nicolas Jackson. Obviously, Chelsea need a striker. Could it be Mbappe? Probably not. So they are looking at striker Nicolas Jackson from Villarreal. Let's move on to Arsenal, who are looking at Kai Havertz. They've already got personal terms agreed upon with Kai Havertz, but Chelsea wants 75 million. Again, Arsenal not keen on paying that. Madrid said they won't pay not even 50 million for Kai Havertz. So another situation there where just personal terms are agreed upon. Obviously, Arsenal's number one target still is Declan Rice, but they are keen on having Kai Havertz on that team, but it does not seem likely. And now let's finish it off here with Mbappe, who obviously has been in the news because of the Real Madrid drama. He came out and said, "I never said that I wanted to go to Real Madrid this summer. I'm happy to be here. I just said I'm not going to be extending my contract. A player like me wants to win, and obviously we have some problems doing that here at PSG, so taking shots." He said that the shortcomings that they knew that they had, sooner or later, they would have to pay for them. So just taking shots all over the place at Nasir and Qatar Sports Investing, just throwing them under the bus, saying, hey, we all knew the problems that we had here. You guys did nothing to address it. I want to win. Since you guys don't want to address it, I will not extend. I'll take my talents elsewhere, and I will win away from PSG. He also came out and criticized the French fans for their treatment of Messi. So things are getting a little bit ugly at PSG with Mbappe, but that's all of the transfer news that we have in world football here today. Now let's move into our last piece of information here. PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan, obviously in the news as of recently for accepting that merger between them and Liv, after criticizing Liv and saying that I don't know how anybody can go to Liv. How are you going to explain it to a 9/11 victim? And then went out and took the Saudi money, didn't complain about it at all. Then, once he had the money in his own pockets, has stepped away from day-to-day operations to apparently recover from a medical situation. What I'm assuming here is that he found a piece of poisoned cheese because he's a little rat and he ate it up. And Jay Monahan is now trying to recover from a poisoned piece of cheese because he's a little rat. So he is out at as PGA Commissioner, stepping down from day-to-day operations. Honestly, I hope he's doing well. I hope all is well with him if he is having a medical emergency or a medical situation. But it kind of just seems like an excuse to say, hey, we don't want to fire you. We don't want to make you look even worse than you already do. Just say that you have a medical emergency, move on, and let's get out of this. So those are the sports news and headlines that we have today. Now let's look forward to some sports that we have tonight. And again, now that the NHL and the NBA playoffs have both come to an end on back-to-back nights, it's going to be baseball carrying us through the summer. So let's look at baseball games that already happened today. The Twins have already beat the Brewers 4-2. The Braves, in the first game of their doubleheader, beat the Tigers 10-7. And at the time of recording this, the Braves are up 2-0 on the Tigers in the second game of that doubleheader. The Giants have beat the Cardinals 8-5. Tonight, we've got the Orioles looking for their sixth straight win against the Blue Jays. The Yanks looking to take the second game of 2 against the Mets. The Pirates looking to bounce back after losing big last night against the Cubs. The Reds looking to stay hot. Obviously, we just talked about won the last 4 and 7 of 9 wins, looking to make it 8 of 10 and 5 of their last games. The A's keep on rolling against the Rays. Let's see if they can do it against Shane McClanahan. The D-backs, who gave up 15 runs to Philadelphia last night, also looking for a bounce back. And tomorrow, 2:45 p.m. Eastern, we have the second semifinal of the UEFA Nations League between Italy and Spain. So we will know who will be in the finals of the Nations League. I appreciate each and every single one of you guys for watching. I'm going to keep posting daily videos. We're going to be talking about MLB. We're going to be talking about rumors going left and right. News coming out of NFL mini camps. We've got a couple NFL free agents still out there. So I'm going to keep coming at you with daily videos. If you haven't done so already, make sure to subscribe. Hit the like button. Just comment something nice. Help me out. Help me out in the algorithm. All my socials are also linked below, so make sure to keep up with me on those. And that has been the crossover.